Hello and good evening, Coefficient family. We are here for our final fireside chat of the CrossFit Open 2024. 24.3 was programmed today. It is 5 rounds of thrusters, 10 thrusters at weight 1, which is 65-95, and then 10 chest to bar pull-ups. You'll do that as fast as you can. You'll rest for a minute. Then you'll do 5 rounds of 7 thrusters and 7 bar muscle ups. This time the thrusters are at 95, 135. The scaled version of that is really nice, actually. You'll be performing the same movements, but with a 45-pound, 65-pound bar for that first set of thrusters, and then jumping chest to bar pull-ups. And then you'll move to 65-95 and chin over bar pull-ups. Team, how do we feel about this one? We had the pleasure of watching one of our members perform this workout this evening. And I kind of touched base with her on how she thought it went. Pat, why are you breathing like that? What are you doing?
Thank you for calling me. So I don't have an inanimate object to caress this time, but I think one of the things that I'm going to focus on is really breathing through this one. So for me, we'll talk about a bunch of different strategies. I'm sure Amy, Joe, and Matt have some interesting takes on how different approaches are going to look like here. But at the end of the day, that first part is going to feel really franny, and you want to make sure you are breathing through every single rep. It's going to be tempting to want to push that pace as fast as you possibly can, but you've got to keep the oxygen flowing through your blood so that you are not a complete train wreck by the time you get to that heavier barbell and try to do some bar muscle ups. So maybe this isn't a problem for everyone, but I know with me, when you get into a mindset like a Fran style workout and it's kind of sprint time, I have a real bad tendency to hold my breath, right? So I have to be really aggressive and thoughtful and intentional about literally forcing myself to breathe through every rep. And there's some real science behind that, right? And trying to keep your aerobic processes moving as long as you possibly can. So that's going to be really important on this one and prevent that lactic acid buildup. So I'll stop breathing like that, but let the rest of everyone else talk through their strategies here.
I mean, good question on breathing. Like breathing up top when you have that barbell up top, and then go down into it, and that'll set a good pace instead of like trying to hold the breath, do it as fast as you can. I mean, you just come up, breathe, and then bring it back down. That kind of keeps me regulated. Because I too also like either go out hot, and I start like hyperventilating, and I'm like, oh, and I start having stress, and I forget to breathe like in a good cadence.
So I was talking to Joe earlier this afternoon, and he mentioned that you, Matt, and Coach Joe and Coach Matt, you kind of worked out a game plan for timing. Do either of you want to touch base on that game plan?
Sure.
Go with the Joe.
So my initial thought, like Pat said, you want to really pay attention to your pacing on that first round. That first round is going to make or break this workout, right? Because if you come out hot, you're going to be a puddle by the time you get to that second set. And you don't want to do that, especially after doing the amount of thrusters and pull-ups that you're going to do. And then you're going to be staring at a much heavier barbell and 7 thrusters there. So my thought was 90 seconds for each one of these sets, if you will. So 10 thrusters and 10 chest to bar pull-ups in 90 seconds for a lot of athletes is a pretty slow, or I should say manageable pace. All right. If you adopt that pace, that gets you to the end of that 1 minute rest at about 8.5 minutes, which is a lot of time, especially given the fact that you will be relatively ready to go. Right. So you can begin to attack and chip away at those rounds of 7 and 7.
Right.
So that was the thought process that I had kind of initially right off the bat.
Right. Amy, the games athletes today, they all finished the workout in under 15 minutes. what did our client accomplish tonight? And what do you think that the majority of us mere mortals could expect to accomplish in this workout?
So she chose to do scaled. She was a little nervous, and before it started, she said, I almost didn't show up today. What's the point? I can't even do a pull up. And I said, just wait. Tonight's the night. And she ended up getting through 7 thrusters, the heavier thrusters, and 3 chin over bar actual pull ups. And she was so excited. So, my advice would be just show up and try your best. Don't go out too hot. Try to keep yourself nice and calm and purposeful in your movements, and you just never know what's going to happen. I don't think I'm going to finish this one, but I'm going to get, I mean, I know I'm not going to finish this one. I don't have that many bar muscle ups or any, but maybe I'll get one. Maybe. I'm going to try.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for her. And yeah, I have some bar muscle ups, but I don't have 7 in a row by any means. So I'm excited to just get some on the board. That's my game plan.
Yeah, my goal for me is I want to get through the 5 rounds of the 10 and 10, and then just see what happens. I'm not gonna finish. I know that. I know, like, I'm a timeout, but I want to get through the 7 thrusters at the heavier weight, and I know I can do bar muscle ups. 7 should be something I can hit. The thrusters are gonna just weight me down, and I was trying to think, like, do I do like sets and then have rest, or maybe I go to singles, like become like a squat clean to a press, and do quick, like just power the crap out of it,
Yeah.
just to get some done so I can get to those bar muscle ups. And again, like I said, I know I'm not going to finish, but I just want to see how far I can get. I don't want to be destroyed with those first 5 rounds. And I know, like they were saying, that 135 heavier weight, when you get there, because you've already done 50 thrusters, is going to feel a lot heavier than 135. And I'm a little nervous about that. But, you do a couple, drop it, and then if you have to do singles, you do singles. You just go as best you can.
That's a great point about the weight with the thrusters, that when we get to the heavy set of thrusters, that they don't have to be sequential. They could absolutely be broken up. I've seen some really powerful open demonstrations when people just do 1 rep at a time like that. I've seen people do that with pull-ups too, where they just, like, whether it's a jumping chest to bar or a regular pull-up or whatever, they just get 1, they drop, and they don't dilly-dally. They just go right back to it, but it's like solid condensed efforts that way, and you're not just like flailing under the bar or struggling with the weight on the barbell. So that's a great point, Matt, that that could be a way to handle this. Pat, Joe, you guys are kind of the fire breathers in this group. Do you think you guys will finish? What do you think?
It's gonna be tough. That 135 thruster is gonna be heavy. It's gonna be real heavy. I'm expecting to get to that bar twice, that 135-pound bar twice. I don't think I will finish that second set of 7 bar muscle ups. I've been dealing with the shoulder thing for a little bit. We'll see. It's feeling okay. But we'll see. I think that 135 is gonna be real heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Pat-
not expecting to finish it. I just want to make really good progress into that second round. Like, who knows if everything feels perfect, like maybe there's, some really dark place I could find and get close to it, but I'm not expecting to finish it. And one of the things, I guess, again, for people who like this domain of workout for themselves, you just got to make sure you're thinking about this correctly, because even those people who, like, I love Fran, and I'm frankly a pretty good Fran athlete. Like, I put up some good numbers there. And so the first part's really exciting. Like, oh man, I could crush that. But if you've ever done Fran with chest to bars, that's a very different workout.
Yeah,
And so, thinking about like what that first set of, sets of 10, even though it's 95 pounds, doing 50 chest to bars sucks, right? So even if it was pull-ups and then you go to bar muscle ups in the second round, I think that would be hard enough. But I'm expecting just my grip and the fatigue that you feel hanging on that rig to be severe by the time you get to the second round. So I don't know how it's going to feel. I'm just going to try to make as much progress as I can and dig deep. And my goal is to not fail reps. That's right. So I think for those of you that like a lot of these movements and get into it, it's finding the pace and the control that I can approach those reps, even if I have to go to singles as I get deeper into the heavy thrusters or into the bar muscle ups. I'm fine with doing singles. I just don't want to start, chicken winging and dropping from a failed bar muscle up, or failing to lock out a thruster overhead. That's when I'm going to start getting in my head. So my goal is to, again, breathe and just try to make the most of every effort.
So you mentioned a few things I wanted to touch on. Some things that are common, but maybe not normal in a regular CrossFit workout. Tomorrow are allowed to do a reverse grip, like a chin up grip for your chest to bars. Our client that did it tonight mentioned that on her way out that really helped. Then her elbow was bugging her. So she was doing her chest to bars here. Her elbow was bugging her. So she did a split grip where she switched her hands opposite of each other, and she did that for a while. Those are totally allowed. We were talking as a group beforehand about doing a muscle up off of 2 boxes where you have a foot on each box and you kind of jump into that first swing, and using that as a tool to help with a first muscle up. And we as a group decided that is allowed at Coefficient CrossFit, because the standard is that your arms have to be fully locked out in a hang before you start the pull, and that does allow for that. So those are some things that we have in our pocket that can help you. I like what Matt said about with your thruster, holding it at the top, catching your breath at the top before you bring that bar back to your chest. And that's going to decompress or compress your chest, so you're not going to be able to get a full breath with it on your chest. So breathing when it's off of your chest. Those are just some things that might help with this workout. Before we wrap up, does anybody have anything else that they'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to add real quick for somebody who's an athlete like Amy, who is an RX athlete who can handle that weight, but is still maybe working towards muscle ups and not really expecting to get a whole lot accomplished with those muscle ups.
Right.
Your tie break time is the time that you end that first set. So if you are pretty confident that you're not getting a muscle up, my suggestion would be to get the best score you can, hammer that first round, that first set, right? I mean, it's not going to be Fran because it's sets of 10s. So it's going to feel different. And to Pat's point just a moment ago, chest to bar pull-ups are going to feel a lot different than just chin over the bar pull-ups. But if you know that you're not getting a muscle up, but you're putting up an RX score, hammer that first set, hammer it and get the best time you can. And then whatever time you have left over after you recover from that monumental effort, you can move into those thrusters and then try your hand at muscle ups. And you're going to be no better off, or no worse off, I should say, than if you take your time and pace it out. And you have 3 minutes trying to get a muscle up, or 8 minutes trying to get a muscle up,
and people
towards that end.
like, the great thing about the open is people get things they've never done before. So someone might get their first bar muscle, and that's going to be awesome, or get their first pull up. I mean, you never know, or that chin over the bottom. It's going to be awesome. And I'm for, you're going to hear a lot of grunting and a lot of moaning from me, because it's just a lot of like, I'm doing the chest to bar, or the bar muscle ups, and a lot of banging my chest on the chest to bar. But we're just gonna go at it. It's 15 minutes. We're gonna have fun. Let's just see how far we can go. Like, let's see how far we can get on this bed.
Right.
If you want to witness Matt's moaning and banging, come to Friday Night Lights tomorrow. It's going to be a good
Or in the bedroom.
Oh. And then I did want to say,
PG-13, buddy.
before we wrap up, and we should, before it gets more weird, we are having a bonfire after the workout tomorrow. So even if you're not participating in the workout tomorrow, maybe you want to do it Saturday or Sunday, come anyway and just hang out with us. We'll have a bonfire. I bought some stuff for s'mores. bring a dish to share, a hot dish, if you will.
Dish.
If you want to, you don't have to. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'm excited.
Breathe,
Breathe,
everybody.
baby, breathe.
All right. See you guys. Cheers.
Bye.
We're almost there.
Bye.